Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. It's Sunshine Millions Preview Day at Gulfstream Park West on Saturday. Several nice races. We're going to kick off the card and the 50-cent Pick 5 with the Millions Turf Preview. You can bet this nice card at Gulfstream Park West with a DRF Bets account. Sign up at bets.drf.com. Receive a 300% deposit match. Here's the field for the Millions Turf Preview. We're going 1 mile and a 16th. $75,000 is the purse. Mike, the number 5 Galleon Mast was the runner-up in this race last year. It was a successful prep. He went on to win the Sunshine Millions Turf, and this horse is as consistent as the day is long. And I thought he ran into some trouble last time out in the Mr. Steele Stakes on the turn.
Yeah, I feel like you could look at each of his last 2 races and feel like he was maybe a little unlucky not to win at least one of them. I think he ran really well in both. He just has that running style that will sort of leave him susceptible to those kinds of trips. That race last time that you're talking about, just last, when that field sort of came together at the top of the stretch, he was in behind. He had the steady, took a little bit of a bump there, rallied. I thought he ran well, and I think for the most part, he shows up and runs well every time, but he's a closer. He's going to need some pace around here. I think he'll get it.
He might get it in here because there are 2 horses in here, as we'll see from the Timeform US pace projector, that have some speed. Now, Timeform US believes that the number 7 Swagger Jagger is going to get to the front. I'm not sure that's going to be the case because the 2 Class and Cash also has some speed. Getting back to Galleon Mast, we see him near the back of the pack, so you're right, he will need some pace. He gets a pretty major rider switch, however, to Paco Lopez. Let's talk about Swagger Jagger going out for Mike Maker, who I believe has won this race the last 2 years. Swagger Jagger, I thought, ran just fine last time out at Gulfstream West in his prep for this prep. Yeah. Yes, he was the beaten odds-on favorite, but I thought he ran pretty quick on the lead.
Yeah, he went a pretty solid pace in there, got run down at the end as an odds-on favorite. Listen, he's pretty good. I wonder what's going to happen here because I don't necessarily agree with the pace projector. I know he's going to come out of there and show some speed. I don't know that Class and Cash is just going to concede to this horse. Maybe he will and just sit second to him. We'll see what happens. I kind of like Swagger Jagger a little bit more if they don't just gun him to the front. I actually like his races from off the pace a little bit, but I don't know if they're going to ride him that way.
It's going to be very interesting to see. We know he loves Gulfstream West, as does Class and Cash. Yeah. 2 out of 3 for Class and Cash over this surface. And before his most recent start, Class and Cash was basically kind of a one-dimensional speed type. He had rallied from off the pace in the past, but the Jane Sibeli barn liked to have him forward. Now, cutting back from 1 mile to 6 in the Laurel Dash, and the way they went gangbusters early, Class and Cash had to be coming from off the pace. I'm not sure they expected him to be next to last turning into the straight, but he came with a good determined rally down towards the inside to beat a solid field, and stretching back out, they can place him wherever. I do wonder, though, whenever a horse like this wins from off the pace, do the connections get the feeling, well, we don't need the lead anymore, and maybe they take the best game away from this horse?
And maybe they do that. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's not like, as you were sort of referencing, it's not like he's never taken off the pace before and still run his race. I mean, he's done that plenty of times in the past. He's versatile enough to get that trip that the pace projector had him in. He's versatile enough for them to ride him like that, and he'll still run his race that way. He just looks really tough in this race from a lot of different angles. I mean, he's held a good form for this trainer for a long time. That's a long series of races where he's shown up and run every time.
Let's talk a little bit about the number 6, Archer Road, who's won 4 of his last 5 starts in kind of quiet fashion. He's won at distances from 1 mile to 1.5 miles. He's just a hard-hitting horse. I think he's fairly adaptable to any kind of pace situation. I'm going to assume he's going to try to come from way back in here, but this is a horse that you may not want to overlook. I think he drifts off the 4-1 morning line.
I think he does too. And the good thing about him is, as a horse who likes to run from off the pace, he should have a good setup in here. And he's not as pace compromised, I don't think, as Galleon Mast. I think he'll be a little bit ahead of that horse. That was the case last time, where obviously Galleon Mast was a little unlucky. But this horse ran well in that race. He was dead game to hold on at the end.
Sibeli has the 2 Class and Cash. She also trains the number 4 Second Mate. And Second Mate didn't fire against a tough group of non-winners of 2 other than optional claimers at Belmont on October the 6th. So I'm not going to hold that race against him. His start 2 starts back might have been against slightly weaker competition than the horses he'll face on Saturday, but he prevailed with an 88 Beyer speed figure. He has run Beyers in the low 90s in the past. He's not completely out of it. He needs the right trip. And I guess if you're saying you want a closer, you might want a Galleon Mast.
Yeah, he might not be the best closer in the race, but we'll see what happens. He'll be a much better price than a horse like Galleon Mast, though, so you could look at him that way. He's been beaten by a few of these horses when he's run against them in the past, but it's not like he's been embarrassed by them. I mean, he's been relatively close to Class and Cash and to Swagger Jagger and to Galleon Mast.
Salute the Colonel is another one that likes likes to rally from off the pace. He's hit the board in his last 4 races. You get the feeling this distance is going to hit him right between the eyes. And the kind of question is, with these closers, who gets the best trip? Because that might make all the difference.
It might make all the difference. You're right about that. We'll see. He did upset a bunch of these horses back in early June. He was a huge price. He beat a bunch of these horses in that race, but that was one of those situations where he got the best trip in that race as the closer. I don't know if he'll get the best trip this time.
Seattle Treasure steps up off a couple of beaten claiming races where he finished a rallying third. He might be the horse farthest back in the early portion of this race, but there are some class concerns for this horse. I like this barn, very underrated, especially with turf horses.
I agree with all those things. He looks like he's in a little bit too tough here.
Let's take a look at our top selection to kick off the Gulfstream Park West card on Saturday. We both like Class and Cash stretching back out. We know he's able to handle this distance. We know he'll be forward. And I wonder if he's just in better form than Swagger Jagger is right now.
Yeah, I think he might be. Listen, he just feels like he's going to get a really good trip in this race, and his good race just makes him super tough.
Mike's going 256. I'm in agreement. 256 for me in the Millions Turf Preview. Race number 1 at Gulfstream Park West on Millions Preview Saturday. You can bet this entire card with a DRF Bets account. Go to bets.drf.com, sign up, receive a 300% deposit match, and we kick off the Gulfstream Park West card on Saturday at 12 noon. Good luck.